Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. It's all about renewable philanthropy, and we're here with the founder and owner, Penny Harris, once again to discuss the important work that she does and the importance of fundraising and how she helps so many people. So let me have you introduce yourself to start.
Yes, I am a longtime fundraiser, Penny Harris. I live in Portland, Maine, and I just have always been involved, either volunteer and then got paid to be a professional fundraiser. And I've done all kinds of missions, hospitals, healthcare, museums. Outward Bound was one of my favorites. Yeah, so now then I hit a place where fundraising just felt like it was all about money. And especially as a consultant, I didn't feel like, I didn't feel connected very well with just focusing on the money. So then I kind of started to move back. I got certified to be a coach. I thought that might help. And then I came up with the design for mission-centered fundraising as a way to enhance donors' experience so that they would want to continue for as long as they felt comfortable and wanting to support that mission.
Great. And let's remind the listeners of your website. It's renewablephilanthropy.com and
Yes.
Other forms of contact for you.
I have a full page, Penny Harris, on LinkedIn, and they can direct mail message me there. And my email is penny@renewablephilanthropy.com.
Got it. And I know you
love to hear from anybody.
great. And mission-centered fundraising is something you've developed. Do you want to discuss that a little bit, what that is specifically?
Yes, when I got into just not feeling comfortable and being so focused on money, I stepped back and kind of looked at what the sources of philanthropy are. And foundations are one, businesses and support are another, and the events are another. And I looked at how these were managed, and I realized, and individual donors, I didn't, because that's my focus, that foundations and businesses are very clear. When a fundraiser starts working with them, they have an outline, they have a procedure, a process that you follow to be considered for a gift from them. And I realized that individuals, they just give money. They have no process. If you talk to them and they like the mission and they've had some connection and you have some trust, they'll make a gift. So it seemed like we had no way of really managing a donor's experience. And what we were jumping from donor to donor and not really with any real management. The management came in the gifts. So we were managing the gifts, but not the donors. And it's, of course, it's the donors who decide to give again or not.
Yeah.
And they're not right now. And I also think this is a big step for fundraisers because it gives them a process they can use and a process that the rest of the organization can understand and connect with fundraising appropriately and feel comfortable. Right now, people connect with fundraisers and they're afraid they're going to get asked, will you ask this person for money? And that's not working. People don't want to do that. And I don't blame them. I don't either.
So tell us more about your process and how it works.
Okay, it's a 3-part process. And I see the first is to establish what the role of donors is and how the organization is going to come together with a fundraising program. So it will have to establish values, a mission, and what and how the donors particularly and the fundraisers will become part of the organization, of the operations, so that donors are really partners. I mean, these organizations would not be serving the community if donors didn't give money. So to me, that's a partnership. We're with you. We don't work there, but we're giving you the money so that we can benefit from the mission. And then I think the second part is to look at all the current donors. Like this year, you'd be looking at every donor from 2021. And you would assess how they were connected, how many years particularly they've already given, how many gifts have they given, and just make a plan for how you want to connect with all of them so that they feel seen and they feel that they're the people making the gifts. And then the next would be putting together a communication and update plan so that you would be with the donors, giving them updates on the mission and successes and goals for the year, and keeping them informed like any partnership would do. And then at the end of the year, celebrate. And I think you can, when people are ready, part of the plan with the donors is for donors to be involved with conversations with the fundraiser. That when do you want, what's comfortable for you when you would like to renew? Would you consider renewing? You know, there's different ways to approach donors, but I think approaching them like, hey, this is your decision, this is your commitment, and we're so appreciative of it. How would you like to continue, and what are your questions, that kind of thing, instead of focusing on the money and saying, you know, we need your money because, no, we need you because you care and because you do support us. Do you see the difference? Is
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And for someone who's been doing this for how long, just for new listeners out there, I would just like to point out a little bit about your background. I know we always
Sure.
digress to that, but it's important. What got you in here?
I started fundraising as a volunteer. I had been a social worker, and I'd been a teacher, fourth grade teacher. And then after I had children, I decided to work in the community as a volunteer. And I joined the League of Women Voters, and I just became active. And the first things that you have to do is raise money for your projects. And so I started that. I did that for about 10 years. And I loved it. It connected me with people. I did debates. I had the first senatorial and gubernatorial debate televised live statewide that had ever happened.
Wow.
And yeah, the senator he was voted Senator George Mitchell. And he told me afterwards, he said, I was 30 points behind, and your debate gave me the pivot that moved me ahead. So I just felt that was a service to him, but it's also to our community. And so that's how it got started. And then my first job was to build a business support for public broadcasting in Maine, to get business support throughout the state on the programs. They say this program was supported by. And so that was my job. And after about 3 years, I moved to the hospital and was the first director of development at the medical center and did my first capital campaign.
Wow.
So,
and
yeah.
Here you are.
Finally, after still a lot of more years, I'm here. Yes. And I love it. I love where fundraising has brought me.
Yeah, and all those that you've helped with the fundraising. I mean, I'm sure there's so many that you could spend 10 shows on talking about just that. Any what you want to share in particular?
Well, one of the things as a consultant that I did was a lot of pre-campaign studies. And as a coach, I don't advise fundraisers to do this way anymore, but it was when I did it, I interviewed around the country 1,000+ donors to see. The purpose of the study was to see if their donors were ready to support the project they wanted to raise money for. So I would sit in people's offices and homes and just talk to them. And I never expected it to be so human. You know, they would tell me stories about their giving and why they wanted this. So I think that's the thing that's really deepened my feeling about mission-centered fundraising and the role of donors being partners, because I think they almost see themselves as partners, you know, because they care so much.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, the work that you do and how you're helping so many people, and with your, your own protocol in a sense that we're talking about here, with the mission-centered protocol. Let me ask you this, for those people listening out there today, who may want to make a donation, may want to help, how does it work? What's the process?
To connect with me or to connect with an organization they want to connect with?
Well, I guess I mean, to help them connect, right?
I thought that's what you meant. Yes.
Thank you.
I think that the best thing is to email me, at pennyrenewablephilanthropy.com, or if you're on LinkedIn and it's easier for you to do that. If you want to call, I can take calls 207-232-0761. And I will. And I would prefer to set a call on Zoom, preferably to 15-20 minutes, to just kind of answer their questions, see what they're interested or what they want, and to help them from that point.
Got it. And what else did you have in mind for us today, Miss Penny?
Well, I think the things that's so important is that fundraising is really about people being generous, and that it's about people wanting to share and make a difference in our community. And oftentimes when we get so caught up in the money that we forget the people, the donors, and we forget the community connection almost sometimes, I think, particularly when you're so focused and you're working hard, as fundraisers do. And I think they do miss feeling more human, to not just be valued by the amount of money that they make, and that's their success. You know, if they could add, well, you know, we had 90% renewal this year and we met our financial goals, that would take a different management. That would take a different approach to job, but it would be more human, and you would get to know the people,
Sure.
you know, and you'd feel it, you know. I all these stories, you know, that donors, they do want to help. They want to be a part of, and it doesn't matter the size of the gift. The minute we start measuring levels of giving, we're not paying attention to the person who actually gave it. We can't have money if somebody doesn't give the money.
Yeah.
And I think the more people that are generous in the community, the stronger, friendlier, better community we have. Even though we're not giving to the same thing, communities that have libraries, that have a museum, that have a historical place, you know, some kind of a museum, or schools, a symphony, a theater, all of those things make our community better to live. And you look around and you say, I couldn't have this if these people didn't help us, you know, to do this. And when there are nonprofits like museums and symphonies and other reasons people come to that town, they benefit. Somebody's got to stay in a motel or hotel, and somebody's going to go to a restaurant, and that is going to make a difference to them. And lots of times businesses look for the kind of community they want to move their business, so they will have employees. And when the community has a lot of services that are beyond just the absolute necessary services, they'll be good places to live. That's what they want, and so I kind of think we're all in this together. And my role is to be the donor when I'm participating myself as a donor. And I've made gifts and never gotten a thank you letter, and that isn't encouraging. The next fundraising letter you might get or call, you're still carrying the fact that they didn't thank you for the one before,
Yeah.
And I know that happens to a lot of people. And I feel badly for that. I would like that never to happen. So
To remind everyone the importance of that. A simple thank you goes a long way.
It is, because there's also gratitude. And I think when we have generosity, we have gratitude. It's easy to be grateful for an evening you just spent listening to a beautiful concert. Yep. Or the medical service you could bring your child to because it's in the community and it's there because some people helped to get it there. And so you feel grateful. And the only way we feel generous is to give something. If we don't make a gift, and that doesn't have to be a gift all the time, we give somebody a compliment or we give somebody a smile and say hi when we're walking down the street. That's being generous. We hold the door open for somebody when they going into the post office. I guess that's where I see it the most. And I think that it just starts to create a world that is more open to helping. And we all want to help. That's the basis of our whole thing. If you see somebody that needs help, 100% chance you're going to find out if you can help them. It's just, and along with that is we want to belong. And when we help, we belong to the community, if that makes sense to you.
It does.
And this is all what I've come up with. And I think this isn't the way that general people, this is a new idea that I'm putting out, that I'm working with people. I have a lot of experience. The exact process and the way it works, I work as a coach. So I would work with the fundraiser or the CEO or both and help them. I would coach them in the establishment of how this would work in their organization, because everybody's going to be different in how they actually apply the work itself. So I would coach through that process. And if they want to do a capital campaign and want a pre-campaign study, I would coach the fundraiser through that process. And so they could learn. What I like is that people are more competent in fundraising after they've worked with me and they don't need me anymore. They can do it themselves. And then I feel good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And by the way, let's point out the website again, renewablephilanthropy.com. And even, Helen, CEO of the YMCA Southern Maine, says, I value my work with Penny because her approach to philanthropy is about genuine connection of donors to the cause of the organization. It's always great to have great testimonials and accolades, and especially with your mission centered. Yeah. Any other experiences you want to share about some people that you've helped along the way and their gratitude?
I think um, I hesitate a little bit because it's private,
Uh-huh.
and it's not confidential or anything. But I think of the families when I did the campaign at the children's campaign and how people got involved in that. And I had the panda bear. I think I showed you, did I show you the picture of the panda bear
No,
hugging a little girl? I keep it where I can see it.
thank you. Oh my gosh. Tell me about that.
Okay. Her brother had cystic fibrosis, and he was the one that got to help cut the ribbon. And he was my advisor, and he told me he hoped that he would be alive to see the new children's center. And so somebody showed up with a panda bear costume. They did this without, I didn't have any, but the energy was so great. And so that person showed up wearing a panda bear costume, which was the logo for the campaign. And she just hugged him. I watched her. I could still see her. She just was so, just like she was in another world,
Yeah.
totally believing what was happening. And that was at the ribbon cutting, when we cut the ribbon to start the construction. So
Oh,
I have a lot of little moments like that. I've had the couple who comes up and thanks me after they've been a donor for something and they've attended an event that they had a part of, and they thank me for inviting them to help, let them help. And so as they enjoyed the event themselves, they said, we felt that we were partly helping the community have this opportunity. So I just think people, this is what we want. I mean, and I think the fundraisers, and it's the system, it's not the fundraisers by themselves, it's the system that says they get so afraid they're not going to get money, which to me means they don't trust our humanness to want to help. And so that's what I'm trying to engage people in, and to get people to, they take small steps. Nobody's created a whole mission-centered fundraising, to be completely honest, but a lot of people have hired me just to help start with the donor relationships and kind of just see how it works.
got it. Well, it's wonderful, the relationships you build and continue to build over the course of the years. My goodness. You're like networking, your nickname should be Networking Penny Harris.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a good talker.
Yeah, but not just a talker. You're a good listener. You're just a good person, a good compassionate person, and takes more than just the talking. It's your knowledge, your skill, and the overall goal, and what you're doing to help so many organizations and people. It's a great thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's nice to talk with you. I've enjoyed doing this too.
Well, good. And anything coming up in the forefront you want to share? Is there anything that's happening with any organizations that you're working on that you could discuss?
Not really. No, because I'm in kind of the middle of discussing. I think the thing I came up with this week that people liked and we haven't done a lot of is, I said, why not get testimonials from donors? We get testimonials from other companies who have worked for us, other organizations who have worked for us. But I'm thinking that it would be good to let donors tell you how it feels to be a donor in their organization. And that would help with that. So I think I think some of the people are going to that I work with are going to begin to get donor testimonials. So
Mhm.
I think donors are so helpful. I mean, I
Yeah.
just did that on my, you think when you just see the money, you miss everything. It's just amazing. Yeah, all those interviews I did they were, I could not share who they are, but I just have met so many people that have made me grateful that I've had that opportunity.
Got it. Wonderful. And we're almost out of time. My goodness. Wow. So we kind of have to wrap it up. What else did you want to
Sure.
share before we go? And let's also remind everyone how we can reach out to you.
Yes, I am at penny@renewablephilanthropy.com for an email. You can also do that right on my website, renewablephilanthropy.com. And on my contact page, you can just contact me directly, or from LinkedIn, where I also, I
Perfect.
would look forward to hearing from you. Yes.
Aw, wonderful. And in the meantime, any word of advice you want to leave us with?
Be generous, ask questions though, understand how your money is going to be used, and
Right.
and if you're a fundraiser, see the donor.
Perfect.
See the donor and ask them what it is they want to be connected with.
Great. Thank you so much, Penny. You have a great day. Pleasure having you
Thank
here
you.
again. Looking forward to
Thank
our
you, Jill.
next meeting.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.